Mm, mm, mm. Look at that Valyria. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Valyrian Freehold submod. We're beginning today to take a look at this brand new set of bookmarks, timelines along the Game of Thrones sort of canon timeline. This in particular is one that I'm really excited about. And I was excited earlier this week when I had already produced a video kind of highlighting all the features, taking a look and just beginning to play in this submod. And there was a lot of things wrong with the submod upon its release, and it has since been withdrawn on the Steam Workshop, but there are some fixes, and so I kept the version that I had and applied some of the fixes that were talked about on the forums, on the subreddit, and it actually is working, functioning for the most part in this form now for me. And so I figured now would be a perfect time to begin to take a look at the Valyrian Freehold submod. Now, obviously, that means we're going to have to play a little bit, and so I've chosen, of course, everyone's favorite house in all of Game of Thrones history, House Targaryen. And now, the reason that I chose this is, one, because obviously the Targaryens play a huge role in the timeline of A Game of Thrones and A Song of Ice and Fire as a whole later down the line. But in this particular aspect, in this particular timeline, or point in the timeline, in this particular bookmark, they're small lords. They're not even high lords, they're just lords. And they are only lords of the lordship of Nuceria, right here in the little pocket on the side of Valyria. And so it's interesting to look at and see such a powerful house now in a, or what will become a powerful house now in a state of kind of small nature. And it's just really interesting to me to know that such greatness can start from such a humble beginning. Now, at one point in the past, House Targaryen was actually on the seat in Astapor, and in one of the bookmarks you can actually find them there. They had the kingdom title of Astapor, but now at this point in the timeline, quote unquote, just before the Doom, they're just small lords. And so I feel like this is a perfect opportunity for us to begin to play as small lords in Valyria and grow from there, and also experience all that the Valyrian Freehold submod has to offer. So I'm excited about it. There's some things about the map we're gonna get into. We're gonna take a look at, and we're gonna look specifically at all of the things going on, kind of in this submod and what makes it different from the current timelines, the different things that you can do, the different things that are available. Obviously, everybody's been yearning for a united Valyria, a pre-Doom Valyria submod, and dynamic map changes aren't really supported in Crusader Kings, so it would have had to have been a submod or a different mod almost entirely, and so this uses the base game as well as the base Game of Thrones mod, with some changes to the map entirely. And the devs have worked so hard on this, and I'm so excited and I'm so grateful for all of the time that they've spent and all the things that they've done, and also all the fixes they've put out. I mean, this was released last weekend, and already they're putting out fixes for it and making it playable, which is exciting, and I'm very grateful for. So yes, this is Valyria underneath the Archon Vakar Castellan of Valyria. And obviously the Valyrian Freehold being what it is, a merchant republic, but I feel like this is interesting is that there's feudal vassals. So even as House Targaryen, we're operating as feudal vassals underneath the umbrella of the merchant republic of Valyria. So it's an interesting take. It's something that I've really never approached or done before, and it's something that's going to require a lot of a lot of trial and error, I suppose. So you're gonna have to bear with me while we kind of figure this out as we go. And I will get to everything in the map. I just wanted to kind of explain my thoughts behind taking on this particular playthrough. I don't know if it'll become a regular series or not. That's not really my intention, but if it's something that y'all enjoy and you would like to see more of, obviously we need a new Targaryen series going, and then at least until I can get the other one fixed. But yeah, this is what's going on with the map. Obviously, everybody wants to know what's going on over in Westeros, and this is a very interesting point in Westerosi history. Obviously, the North is now united. So early on in in the timeline, the Starks and the Boltons are two separate kingdoms, kind of divided all the way up. The neck is its own thing, but right up here at White Knife, everything kind of comes up, and there's two separate kingdoms. They war with one another. The Starks eventually prevail and unite the North. So this is the North and their point in history. They're united. They're strong and they're powerful. Over here in the Mountain and the Vale, obviously the Andal invasion has completed, and the king of the Mountain and the Vale is King Edison Aaron, and doing their own thing at the moment. Doing their own thing. The Lannisters are going strong over in the Rock, the Kingdom of the Rock. House Gardner is still on the seat of the Reach. The Martells are going strong after Nymeria's landing down in Dorne. And the most interesting aspect is that House Teague, who are the kings of the Trident, reigning from Godsfort, have been defeated and eliminated and torn away by Storm King Durin the 25th, Durandon of the Stormlands. And so the Stormlands actually jut like almost diagonally from down here in the like near Dorne and the Stepstone Isles, all the way diagonally up to the neck. And so this is a powerful time for the Stormlands, for House Durandon. This is an opportunity for them to begin expanding, and 2 kingdom tier titles is awesome. But yes, this is interesting in Westerosi history, and also interesting in kind of Planetos history, if you can get behind that. The Iron Isles are ruled by House Hor. The Iron King Aemond III. Eventually, the Iron Islands will conquer the Trident, push the Stormlands back, and Harren Hor will turn Godsfort into Harrenhal. Obviously, that hasn't happened yet. Braavos has been founded. That's actually a bookmark in this submod in particular. And then all of Essos is kind of over here. But Valyria itself extends all the way up from Norvos all the way across, bordering the Dothraki Sea and Karth itself, stretching into the Slaver's Bay, and then down, obviously, into the Valyrian Peninsula. So, if you haven't picked up the submod, I encourage you to do it. Follow a lot of the instructions. Look through every page on the forum to get kind of the hot fixes. There's a map fix because there was some issues with troop movement. There were issues with events not firing. And so one of the things that we're going to do right now is I'm actually going to make an event fire with the console. And it's event Valyria.99. Oh, hold on. I need to do one thing first. I need to open up care info because I cannot fire the event myself. It is not for me. So we need to fire events Valyria 9994 character ID 102-66013. Boom. Well, that was interesting. Let me turn off character info. Something just happened. I got another lordship. Huh. I got two other lordships. I got the city of Mentaris, the lordship of Nykiria, and the lordship of Mentaris. And I'll have a dragon eventually. So it added slave owner and dragon rider to me. Basically, that event for the archon himself spawns in a dragon and a Valyrian steel sword for every high Valyrian lord in Valyria. So it kind of makes everything a little bit crazy. But yeah, as soon as we press play, I think we'll get our dragon and kind of advance through. But we're going to take care of some of the stuff up at the top to kind of set up House Targaryen moving forward. Obviously, the most important thing is going to be our focus. It's going to determine all of our events and also the state of our kind of moving forward with this playthrough, this series. So I think the focus we're going to take is actually going to be business, mostly because I thought about it as a feudal lord operating in the Merchant Republic. We're at a disadvantage in terms of income. And so, having a business focus and really building up all of our lordships and all of our money-seeking conquests is going to be the most important part, because we need to compete. We need to be competitive, and we need to be able to operate within Valyria in order to make this viable. And so, obviously, we have very low martial as this lord. We actually don't have very good stats at all. Intrigue being the highest is okay, but 3 stewardship is awful. So we definitely need to improve. We need to have every boost to stewardship that we possibly can, and we need to try to earn as much gold as we possibly can. So business focus. We're going to choose an ambition. We already have we're going to have a Valyrian steel sword. We're going to have a dragon, so all of that's not an issue. I think what we want to do is we want to adopt a lifestyle. A lifestyle trait's going to boost certain stats for us, and it's going to add a couple of traits and that kind of thing that will kind of help us moving forward. So adopting a lifestyle will be what we want to do. Let's see what decisions are available. Let's recruit a court physician, because that's a missing spot on our council. So we have a court physician that we need to fill, but we also have a spy master. We're going to do Rhaelynor Targaryen, who is my daughter. Also, Aegor Targaryen actually has 2 unmarried daughters, so that helps us a little bit. Not in terms of dowry, but in terms of making connections within Valyria early on. We have 2 unmarried daughters. We do have a married son who is 19. Again, not good stats, but High Valyrian bride. That's one thing that I noticed kind of going forward. I was looking, I was like, oh, I'll just marry my son to my daughter. But at this point, we don't need to. We can keep the High Valyrian blood pure. Now, obviously, incest was practiced in Valyria, but it's not really necessary for us to keep the High Valyrian traits. We can branch out and not have to risk any kind of, inbred or any kind of negative kind of downfall traits from the typical High Valyrian incest gambit and game that people end up playing in later bookmarks. Now we're able to do it, and obviously, he married a lowborn High Valyrian, but even still, a lowborn High Valyrian will pass on the High Valyrian traits to the children. So, push comes to shove, we should be able to keep the bloodlines pure fairly easily in this series. At least that's what I am anticipating. We also need a priest. We have 2 on hand. One of them is our daughter, or our daughter-in-law, our son's wife, and the other is actually the Stormsinger of Nykiria, so who is much better. And so we're going to choose him. We're going to wait on that court physician to come through. We can grant and dish out some minor titles, obviously, with our designated regent. We're going to make that our son, who's going to rule anyways. So we might as well. Court musician, we're going to do. We're gonna add our vassals in for all of these things. Obviously, Valyria is very cultured, so you have a court musician, a court poet, a court architect, all of those things. I don't need. Let's go with that. Court tutor. Let's see. Is Magon my... Oh, Magon's my brother. There we go. Commanders are going to be auto-assigned. I'm fine with that. All of those things are good. I need to add bodyguards. There we go. That's fine. My council is in discontent. I'm not exactly sure why. I think because I inherited that title in Menteris. I have idle council members. I have a lot of idle council members. And I can set... I don't know where I'm putting my crown focus at. I don't really have that option, so I'm not really worried about it right now. Oversee realm, perform statecraft, organize the army, collect taxes in Menteris, where it's already a little bit higher. You can scheme, that's fine, and you can perform charity up here. Okay. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with how that turned out. I have 2 holdings, and I need to dish one out. I think I'm going to dish this one out. Nah, I'm not, actually. I'm going to hold on to these holdings for just a little bit until I can figure out exactly what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to stay on the Valyrian Peninsula, though. I think my goal, my plan, is to just begin working my way around. So kind of eating into this side and this High Lordship that's right here and become a High Lord. And then gradually just begin to subjugate the provinces that are kind of independent around and kind of cut out this nice little chunk, this little love handle of Valyria, so to speak, for us. This has been a really long clip, by the way. Wow, usually my clips are much faster. I'm just kind of rambling. I'm so excited about this playthrough. I can't even get a grip, and I need to. But this is kind of the goal, is to kind of begin our expansion in here, I think, unless I decide to kind of stay up in this region. I'm not sure yet. That's kind of my idea. I am a little nervous, just to kind of give you this, I am a little nervous about being backed up against an impassable mountain range right here. And these little chunks of Valyria are uninhabited, and I think uninhabitable. I don't think I'm able to... Yeah, you're not able to interact with them, so there's no way to conquer them, both of these. And so there's a very narrow pass here, but I'm a little nervous about being backed up into this corner if we get into a war situation and not being... and like being pinned down in one county is very undesirable. And so... I don't know exactly how I'm going to make that work, but I am a little nervous. Just wanted to kind of share my my discomfort with this with y'all. So, yes, if you have suggestions for things you want to see, things you want me to try, leave them down in the comment section below. And let's actually play. Let's actually advance a day and see what happens. So we've gotten our dragon, and he's very young. That's the word we're gonna use. Very young. Valzyrix, the child of an unknown dragon, but no dragon traits, so that's not terrible. But 6 martial is... there's room for improvement, that's for sure. Definitely. So that's our dragon. That's, you know, there are worse things, I suppose. Our son rides Hariz, or Hariz. I don't know exactly how you want to pronounce that, but 45 martial, pretty good. 90 years old. One of the most exciting aspects of this series and this kind of submod as a whole is the presence of an abundance of dragons, because if you play in the bookmarks, you know, in the base game, there are only 3 dragons in existence ever at the start of a series. At least in the later bookmarks, are Dany's 3 dragons, and then earlier on there's some, you know, obviously you have the big 3, Balerion, Meraxes, and Vhagar in the Aegon's Conquest, you know, timeline, and then gradually dragons become weaker and weaker and weaker. And yes, some in some of the bookmarks they're prevalent, but they're not. There's not a saturation of dragons like there are in this context, where every High Valyrian lord has a dragon, and there's a lot of High Valyrian lords. There's a lot of available dragon riders, whereas even in those bookmarks, there's there's maybe 10 at the most. But in here, I mean, you probably have 30 dragon riders and 30 dragons. And it's only going to become more prevalent. Dragons are going to breed. They're going to, these lords are going to pass these eggs onto their kids. And dragons are just going to become so prevalent and such a major mechanic within this submod. Everybody's going to have a dragon. And so you're going to see dragon dances with dragon at every war in this area. There's not going to be any any hope other than using your dragon in the war. And so I'm excited to see how that mechanic plays out and how that whole thing happens, because if we're honest about it, I mean, really, it's gonna dynamically change the way wars are fought. It's gonna dynamically change your approach in a war, because you can't leave an army unattended in your province, because they're going to be able to dragon siege down your provinces, and it's going to happen quickly and very rapidly. And so that's something to consider always, is to take a look at that and always know that that's kind of weighing on kind of in the back of your mind whenever you declare war, is not only the size of the armies that they can raise, but the strength of the dragons they have at their disposal. So definitely an interesting approach and a little bit different than what I am typically used to. This is kind of new as well, is the presence of slaves in Valyria, and not typically happening over in Westeros. And you really only deal with slaves if you're playing as a Merchant Republic or the Dothraki or anything like that over in the East. So I have very limited experience with that, but I was approached and asked about this particular slave, and offered a price of 115. Is what I kind of told them. I think she's worth that. I mean, look at the diplomacy skill. Even the traits are really good, and so they paid it. She kind of looks like Cersei, like Walk of Shame Cersei. Anyways, they paid it. So that's one way we're going to be able to start acquiring gold. And actually, that's one thing I need to start looking at, is buying golds for my slave camp, or buying slaves for my slave camp, using that gold to do that. Lord Paramount Viserys. Yes, I'm okay with that. She's not that great of a character. So let's take a look at buying slaves. I need 400 gold to buy slaves. Enter the slave trade. I could buy Unsullied too. We'll have to end up doing that. We'll have to start doing that, because Unsullied are going to help us in our future wars for sure. But I think slave trading may be the best option for us. Let's try it. We'll see what happens.